career coach tells us how to survive and thrive a challenging economy. Plus, hear why books are a better solution than putting young people behind bars. And Barbara Rogers is here to remember Ave Montague. All next on Black Renaissance. Welcome back. The total number of unemployed Americans increased by more than 50% in the last year. And for black men, that meant 13.4% out of work. Here with advice on landing a job or keeping the one you have is career coach Jeff Hatchell, the founder of Over the Top Coaching. Welcome, Jeff. Thank you for being here. Now, we need your advice. We definitely need it. So start with people who are out of work. You're a career coach. What would you say to someone right now?
Sure. So given what's happening and the signs of the times, for those who are out of work right now, my suggestion for them is to stay encouraged, number one, because they have to really remain positive and focused on what they want. I look at this as an opportunity for them to start to really search their heart and explore what is it that they really want.
Yes.
This is a great opportunity to look at it from that perspective of saying, okay, out of my experience, what are the things that I can truly leverage? What are my strengths? And what is it that I'm really passionate about? And then to start to put together a plan of action to pursue those things.
I love what you're saying. There is nothing more important than maintaining that positive attitude, because if we go into fear, we start to shrink. And if we shrink, we don't even have the energy to go out and get the work or create the job or create the opportunity. And I love it that you said opportunity, because this is, you know, anytime there's one door that closes, another door opens.
Exactly. And that's how you have to perceive it. And even when you mention the word fear, I like to use the acronym false evidence appearing real. And to really recognize and consider it that way, because if we get caught up in what's happening from a negative perspective, it can hurt our perspective, versus exploring and looking at the positive side, looking at what's available to me and what is it that I want, and specifically working out a plan of action to start to take those steps to move in that direction.
And how do people put that plan of action together?
So part of it is getting an assessment. And I like to say starting with yourself. So I'm a big believer in values, understanding what matters most to me when it's all said and done, because of those are the things that are going to allow me to flourish, and not just flourish, but to thrive. And then even ask others in terms of friends, spouse, co-workers, what are their perceptions about your strengths? And be willing to take an honest look at any performance reviews that you have done in the past. And even there's a lot of assessments you can take, including the Strength Finder is a great one. And starting to take a look at all of those things. Where would people
find the Strength Finder?
So this is through a book that the Gallup organization done with Marcus Buckingham, and it's a book called Strength Finder, and they even have a new version called
Go on Amazon,
Strength
everybody,
Finder
or go to your local bookstore. Okay.
Strength Finder 2.0.
Great. Now, I know that it's important to ground energy, and if we're making a plan and doing an assessment, write down your strengths, write down your skills, write down every job you've ever done, every skill you think you have, and write the plan down, because when we write something down, instead of it being an idea, it's like an architect building a building. You have an idea, but that idea has to hit the paper for it to become a blueprint.
I'm with you on that one, and that's one thing I always recommend is take what's here in your mind and capture it in writing, then it crystallizes.
Beautiful.
Because I like to say, otherwise, if it's in your head, then it's a whole lot of ideas. And one of the differences I like to say about a dream, the difference between a dream and a goal, is that a dream is something that you're thinking and considering, whereas a goal is something that's more finite. And when you put something in writing, especially with a deadline to it, then it's more likely to happen, and you get more clarity behind it as you start to write it out. Then you read and start to reflect, and you gain much more clarity and direction.
Excellent. What's the next step after you've done your strength finding, you've written out your assessment, you've written your plan, then what do you do?
So then you take the first step, because a lot of us can get caught up in terms of the planning and strategizing and feeling that I'm not ready and I'm not prepared. But it's that, what is that initial step that you can take? And that initial step is the first thing moving based on what you want to start to explore possibilities. So start to look in your network of who you know that's doing what you aspire to do.
Crucial.
Networking. So once you get the network going, then you have to put together a resume in terms of based on if it's a job, bio, if it's some type of a business that you want to start. And then from there, once you have those steps, then you start to explore what's available and start to meet with people. And I love to say, have informational interviews before the formal interview to learn more about it. So as you're doing your research, you're learning and you're coming armed with information so you know if there is a fit. So when you're actually on the interview, it's not a one-way conversation, but you're interviewing them as well.
Beautiful. Now, if somebody is feeling a sense of urgency, I just need to get some work now because I've got to pay the bills, what should they do?
So for those who are in those tight situations, sometimes when we are in those tight situations, they're not the ideal. So recognize, okay, this might be a short-term step because I have some, challenging situations that I have to address. So go ahead and do what you have to do to address those situations, but still have that long-term plan that's going to get you where you really want to be, because where your true success is related to your gifts.
There it is. Now, we have just a minute. What if we want to give advice to people to keep their jobs?
So based on what's happening now, it's so important for us to be engaged. The one thing I'm hearing in many organizations, people are so concerned, am I going to be able to keep my job?
Yes.
Will things work out?
Right.
So to really reinvent themselves where they are, you have to perform in your current role prior to wanting to do other things. So stay engaged, demonstrate what it is that you bring to the table. Now is one of the best times to demonstrate what we're truly made of. When things are tight and things are up in the air and they are looking to eliminate jobs, come with it. Now
this is the time to be the innovator, to be the person with the great idea, the great plan. Make yourself invaluable is what you're saying.
That's the idea.
Wonderful.
That's the idea.
Jeff Hatchell, thank you so much for giving us great advice. We're going to be planning, networking.
You got it.
Getting clear about your gift and your vision, living your passion. You might have to have a short-term and a long-term plan.
Exactly.
And be an innovator in your current position.
You got it.
All right.
Great summation.
Well, you can learn more about Jeff at overthetopcoaching.com. Great advice from a terrific, innovative thinker. There's more. Stay with us.